Look at these beautiful, wonderful winter trees. These are called evergreens. Hey, let's make some. Today we're going to be making shades and tints. That means we're going to be mixing colors together to make them light or dark. You have a little square of white painting paper and you have some paints. You have 2 greens, a white, and a black. We are going to use these today to make colors light or dark, and that's called value. First thing we need is a paintbrush, and when it's clean, we don't need to wash it off. We just dip it straight in the paint that we're going to use. The first thing we're going to make is a tint. A tint is a light color. To make it light, you add white. That is a little rhyme that helps me to remember how I make a light color. So first, I'm going to grab any green that I want. It can be the light green or the dark green. And of course, I'm going to change it again with white paint. I think I'm going to go with this one. Hold your brush like a pencil near the danger zone or the silver part, and then dip a little bit of white. We're using white first, just a little bit. Do not get any paint on the danger zone, just on the tippy toes of your brush or your ballerina's feet, because we can treat our paintbrush like a ballerina's toes. All right, to paint, you are going to sweep your paper, kind of like you're sweeping the floor with a broom, and I'm only painting the left side of my paper, not the middle, just the left side. Little bit of paint, I'm getting some more. Only the tip of the brush, please. Do not get white on your silver part. And now you can paint the right side. I'm just painting in horizontal lines back and forth, sweeping the paper, the left side and the right side. I'm leaving the middle blank, okay? I'm leaving the middle blank for later. I can add more paint if I want. My brush is clean, so I'm not using the water yet. Left side and right side with a little bit of white paint. Now I'm going to get ready to use my next color, so I'm cleaning my brush. I scrubbed the bottom of the water dish with my brush several times and tap, tap, tap to get the extra water off, and then I'm going to wipe it off by making an X on Dirty Old SpongeBob. I like to do it twice because this white paint is very stubborn and it takes a lot of cleaning to get your brush ready for the next color. I think I'm going to use this green. Same thing, I dip just a little bit, and while the white paint is still wet, I'm going to paint on top of the white paint and then move my brush towards the middle to spread my paint around. And as I'm spreading it, it's mixing, and what is happening? My green went from regular green to light green or a mint green. This is called a tint, T-I-N-T. A light color is called a tint. Especially in the middle, it's going to mix. I'm going to keep moving my brush around from left to right, mixing the wet paint together. How awesome. Now, looks like I need some more paint on the bottom of my paper, and it looks like I ran out. So guess what? I'm going to clean my brush because I'm about to dip it in more paint. I don't want to dip it in the paint without cleaning my brush. Since all that mixing went on, I want to make sure I clean my brush, and I did it twice just to make sure. Now, when you need more paint, get that green this time and just add a little bit of green to the left side, and then you can go ahead and keep sweeping across to mix it with the white paint. Awesome, it looks great, and I love all of these horizontal lines that my brush is making. These are called brush strokes, and they're going in the direction of the paint, in the direction that my hand was making when I'm painting. Continue mixing and painting until your whole paper is covered with light green. Some areas may be lighter than others as the paint may change. It depends on how hard or how much paint you were using, okay? Now, I'm getting a second paper and I'm cleaning my brush because I'm about to use more paint. And now we are going to make a shade. A shade is kind of like the opposite of a tint. A shade is a dark color. To make a color dark, you can add black paint. That's right. We are going to mix our green with black paint. Again, you can use any green you want and of course the black paint. You are going to use the tiniest bit of black paint, okay? First, let's get the green on there. So this time we're starting with green instead of white. I'm painting the left side and the right side just like I did the first time, and I'm leaving the middle plain. I love those brush strokes, and I'm going back and forth as my brush sweeps across the paper. I want to make sure that my brush stays pointed like a ballerina's tippy toes, not mashing or pushing my brush down because we don't want to go to the booty scootin' ballet. Don't forget, the middle is left white. Now, I'm going to clean my brush because I'm ready to add the black. Cleaning my brush a couple times because the green paint is quite stubborn as well. I want to move a little quickly because I want to paint the black on top while my green paint is still dry, and it can dry pretty quickly. So you don't want to do sloppy work, but you want to move pretty quickly when you're ready to mix the two colors together. Now, remember I said a little bit of black? That's right. When I dip my brush, you're going to mix it in you're going to dip it in the tiniest bit of black. And while my colors are still wet, they will mix together to make a dark green color. I'm holding my brush like a pencil and I'm dipping a very, very small amount of black. Black covers up the paint and makes it very dark, darker than you think. So you want to start off with a little bit of black and you can always add more. And then I'm going back and forth, left to right across my paper. You see how just that little bit of black made my green so much darker? It's really pretty, but if you think this is too dark for you, you would use even less black paint than Miss Dalmy. And I'm going to keep sweeping until my paint gets dry or until it makes a scratchy sign or a scratchy sound or a scratchy line, and that means my brush is thirsty and it needs more paint. But I'm going to make sure that I keep sweeping until all that paint is mixed in. I'm going to clean my brush because I might want to add more paint if I ran out. Now just remember, adding more black will make it even darker. So if you don't want it to be any darker, you probably want to stick with your green paint for the last part that you're missing. So that's what I'm doing. I'm dipping my brush in the green paint to finish off the rest of the paper. You want to sweep the entire thing so that the white paper is not showing through. Wow, look at that beautiful shade of green. Dark greens have different names as well, like hunter green. That would be the name of a dark green. That looks wonderful. And we're not even going to worry about putting our names on our papers because when they're dry, Miss Dalmy is going to cut them up and we're all going to share them as strips for our tree.